Have you ever stood in front of the fridge pulling out last night's leftovers thinking, this'll be quick and healthy? You pop the plate in the microwave, hit start, and feel good about making a smart, no-fuss meal. But what if that simple everyday habit could be quietly doing more harm than good? What if certain foods we all believe are healthy turn toxic when reheated? In today's video, we're exposing a hidden danger lurking in our kitchens: 5 common foods that doctors and nutritionists strongly advise against reheating. Why? Because under heat, they can transform chemically into compounds linked to digestive issues, cognitive decline, and even cancer. These are meals you probably eat regularly, but science is now revealing their darker side when microwaved or stored improperly. Stick with me to the end because this is more than just a food safety lesson. This is about protecting your long-term health. We'll explore the medical science behind each item, the real risks, and most importantly, what to do instead, so you can keep your meals both delicious and safe. Every tip we share is grounded in research and designed to help you make smarter, healthier choices every single day. Before we dive in, please consider liking this video if you find it helpful. It truly supports the channel. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe and tap the notification bell so you never miss important health lessons like this. If you're watching and learning something new, already go ahead and comment 1 below. If you think it could be better, type 0. I read all feedback. Now let's get started with food number 1 because this one might surprise you. 1. Reheating spinach releases harmful nitrates. Spinach. It's the symbol of health, right? Rich in vitamins A, C, and K, iron, magnesium, fiber, and powerful antioxidants. This leafy green has long been celebrated as a nutritional superhero. You'll find it in smoothies, stir-fries, omelets, lasagna, and salads. It's practically the poster child for healthy eating. But here's the twist. Reheating spinach can silently turn it from a health ally into a hidden risk. Let's break down the science. Spinach is naturally rich in nitrates, which are compounds that on their own actually support heart health. They help widen blood vessels, improve blood flow, and even enhance physical performance. But when cooked spinach is stored for extended periods, especially at room temperature or in the refrigerator, and then reheated, those nitrates start to change. Through a process accelerated by high heat, particularly in microwaves, nitrates convert into nitrites and then further into compounds called nitrosamines. And that's where the concern begins. Nitrosamines have been widely studied for their carcinogenic potential. Research from the World Health Organization and the National Cancer Institute links these compounds to cancers, especially in the stomach, colon, and digestive tract. Even more concerning, some emerging studies now suggest these same compounds may contribute to neurological damage, playing a potential role in long-term cognitive decline and diseases like Alzheimer's. What's even more alarming, these chemical changes happen silently and invisibly. There's no change in flavor, no off smell, no clear warning sign. That warm spinach soup or reheated veggie stir-fry might taste fine, but you could be unknowingly exposing your body to toxic byproducts. This is particularly significant for older adults whose bodies naturally become less efficient at detoxifying harmful substances. As we age, our cells don't regenerate as quickly, and our defense systems slow down. What may have been tolerable at 30 can pose serious risk at 60 or 70, especially to the brain and nervous system. Here's a real-world example. Imagine you make a big pot of spinach lentil soup on Sunday. You store it in the fridge, and by Tuesday, you reheat a bowl in the microwave for lunch. That might seem perfectly safe. But that reheated spinach, especially if it's been sitting for over 24 hours, could now contain nitrosamines formed during storage and reheating. Repeating this habit weekly over months or years can lead to a slow buildup of toxins in your system, possibly contributing to inflammation, digestive problems, or even cognitive issues over time. Does that mean you should stop eating spinach entirely? Absolutely not. Fresh spinach remains one of the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet, but it does mean you should handle it smarter. Here's how. Consume spinach fresh or lightly cooked, and ideally eat it immediately. If you make a spinach dish, store it promptly in the refrigerator and try to consume it within 24-48 hours. Avoid reheating it multiple times, and if reheating is necessary, use gentle stovetop heat instead of high-powered microwaves. Better yet, enjoy spinach dishes cold. Think chilled soups, leftover spinach salad, or cold pasta with spinach mixed in. By making these small adjustments, you can continue to enjoy the incredible benefits of spinach without putting your body at risk. Understanding the chemistry of your food gives you control, and control means safety, vitality, and confidence in your choices. If you're still with me and finding this information valuable, comment 1 below to let me know you're still watching. Your support means the world. Now let's move to the next common culprit, one that may be sitting on your plate more often than you think. 2. Reheated potatoes can quietly disrupt your health. Potatoes, warm, hearty, and comforting, are a global favorite. Whether mashed to creamy perfection, baked with crispy skin, roasted with herbs, or tucked into a cozy stew, potatoes have earned their place as a timeless comfort food. But there's a lesser-known danger that most people overlook. The way we store and reheat them could turn this humble vegetable into a silent health threat. You've likely done it before: cooked a batch of potatoes, stored the leftovers in foil, and popped them in the microwave a day or two later. It's convenient, no doubt. But here's the problem: when potatoes are cooked, cooled, stored improperly, and then reheated, their chemical structure begins to shift in a way that can introduce potential health risks, especially if you're not paying attention to time, temperature, and method. Let's break it down. When potatoes are freshly cooked, their starches soften and become easier for the body to digest. But once they cool down, particularly if left out at room temperature for too long, those starches undergo a transformation called retrogradation. This process converts the digestible starches into resistant starch, a type that's tougher for our bodies to break down. Now, resistant starch isn't all bad. In small amounts, it can actually benefit gut health by acting as a prebiotic, feeding the good bacteria in your intestines and helping regulate blood sugar levels, as supported by research in the Journal of Nutrition. However, the issue isn't the resistant starch itself, it's what happens when those cooled potatoes are reheated, especially in a microwave, or when heated unevenly. This is where things get dangerous. Improperly stored and reheated potatoes create the perfect environment for a bacterium called Clostridium botulinum. Yes, the same one responsible for botulism, a rare but potentially deadly illness. This bacterium thrives in low-oxygen, starchy environments, like potatoes wrapped in foil and left to cool slowly. What makes this even more alarming? The toxins produced by Clostridium botulinum are odorless, tasteless, and invisible, meaning your potatoes can look and smell perfectly normal while still being contaminated. Symptoms of botulism include nausea, dizziness, fatigue, and in severe cases, neurological complications like blurred vision or difficulty breathing. Older adults are especially vulnerable due to naturally declining immune function, reduced digestive efficiency, and an increased susceptibility to toxic exposure. But the impact doesn't stop at food poisoning. Studies in Frontiers in Neuroscience point to a growing link between chronic gut inflammation and cognitive decline, including a higher risk of neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. The gut-brain axis, a term now common in modern medicine, refers to the intricate connection between digestive health and brain function. When harmful bacteria or their toxins enter the digestive system repeatedly, even in tiny doses, it can quietly erode both your physical and mental health over time. Let's paint a familiar picture. On Sunday, you bake a tray of herbed potatoes for dinner. The leftovers, still warm, get wrapped in foil and stored in the fridge. On Tuesday, you microwave a portion for a quick side dish. While the texture and flavor might seem fine, you may be unknowingly introducing low levels of botulinum toxin into your system, especially if the potatoes cooled slowly or weren't stored properly. And if this pattern continues week after week, that toxic load could slowly accumulate, adding hidden pressure to your immune and neurological systems. So what's the solution? You don't need to give up potatoes, just handle them smarter. Cook only what you plan to eat fresh whenever possible. If you have leftovers, cool them quickly, ideally within 2 hours, and store them in airtight glass or plastic containers, not foil. Keep them refrigerated and consume within 24 to 48 hours to limit bacterial growth. When reheating, use a stovetop or oven to ensure even heating throughout the potato. Microwaves can heat unevenly, leaving cold spots where bacteria survive. Avoid reheating potatoes more than once, and always check for signs of spoilage. Though remember, botulinum toxin doesn't always leave a visible trace. For older adults, these habits matter even more. With age, maintaining vitality, memory, and energy means minimizing silent sources of inflammation, and that includes food safety. Something as simple as how you store or reheat a potato could influence your immune resilience, digestive comfort, and even your brain health over time. Taking just a little extra care in your kitchen can pay off in powerful ways. When it comes to potatoes, don't let convenience override caution. Cook smart, store right, and reheat safely, and this beloved comfort food can remain exactly what it was meant to be: nourishing and satisfying. 3. Reheating eggs may release harmful compounds. Eggs are a true dietary staple, nutrient-dense, budget-friendly, and endlessly versatile. Whether they're scrambled for breakfast, hard-boiled for snacks, folded into omelets, or baked into casseroles and quiches, eggs are a go-to source of high-quality protein, healthy fats, and choline, a nutrient critical for brain health. But as convenient as they are to prep in batches and reheat, there's a side to eggs many people overlook. When cooked eggs are reheated, especially in a microwave or under high heat, they can undergo subtle but serious chemical changes that quietly affect your health. Let's take a look at what actually happens inside the egg. When you first cook eggs, the proteins inside undergo denaturation, a natural process where they unfold and restructure, making them easier to digest. That's what turns a raw, runny egg into the firm white and yellow you're used to seeing. But when these cooked eggs are reheated, particularly at high or uneven temperatures, the proteins can harden and tighten even more, becoming rubbery and more difficult for your digestive system to break down. For people with strong digestive systems, this might not feel like a big deal. But if you're over 50 with naturally declining stomach acid or enzyme production, that rubbery reheated egg might sit like a rock in your stomach, causing bloating, discomfort, or sluggishness. That's just the beginning. A more serious issue occurs inside the yolk, where cholesterol resides. When eggs are exposed to high heat during reheating, especially in microwaves, cholesterol can oxidize, forming compounds known as oxysterols. These compounds are inflammatory by nature and, over time, can contribute to artery damage, heart disease, and even cognitive decline. Research published in journals like Lipid Research and Nature Reviews Neurology shows that oxidized cholesterol can play a key role in the development of neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. The link: chronic inflammation caused by diet and oxidative stress. As we age, our bodies process fats less efficiently. Our arteries become stiffer, our immune systems slow, and our brains become more vulnerable to inflammation. That's why reheating a seemingly harmless hard-boiled egg in the microwave could over time contribute to a cumulative burden of inflammatory compounds in the body. Here's a familiar scenario. On Sunday, you boil a batch of eggs for the week. On Wednesday, you're in a rush, so you pop one into the microwave to warm it up before slicing it into your salad. Seems like a healthy move, right? Unfortunately, this small act may have introduced tougher proteins and oxidized fats into your system, tiny stressors that over months or years can add up. So what should you do instead? Eat eggs fresh whenever possible, right after cooking. If you batch cook eggs for convenience, eat them cold. Hard-boiled eggs are great in salad sandwiches or as a grab-and-go snack without needing to be reheated. If reheating is absolutely necessary, avoid the microwave. Use gentle, low heat on the stovetop and never reheat more than once. Store eggs properly. Place them in airtight containers in the refrigerator promptly after cooking and consume within 2 to 3 days. Eggs are still a phenomenal food, but only when treated with care. The way you reheat, store, and handle them makes a world of difference. These small habits can protect your heart, your brain, and your energy as you age. Your body deserves more than just good enough. Sometimes it starts with something as simple as rethinking your breakfast routine. 4. Reheating chicken can trigger hidden inflammation. Chicken is one of the most popular proteins on the planet. It's affordable, low in fat, high in protein, and incredibly versatile. Whether grilled on a summer evening, roasted with rosemary and garlic, baked into casseroles, or shredded into salads, chicken is a staple in kitchens everywhere. Meal preppers, fitness enthusiasts, and busy parents alike often rely on cooking chicken in large batches, storing it in the fridge for quick meals throughout the week. It's practical, efficient, and seemingly healthy. But what if this convenience came with a hidden cost? Many people don't realize that reheating chicken, especially in a microwave or at very high temperatures, can actually alter the protein structure in ways that aren't just culinary, they're biological. And these changes might be quietly impacting your digestion, your inflammation levels, and ultimately your long-term health. Here's what happens on a molecular level. The first time you cook chicken, heat causes its proteins to denature, a natural process where the protein molecules unfold and restructure into a form your body can easily digest. But when you reheat that same chicken, especially using high heat or uneven methods like microwaving, the proteins undergo a second round of denaturation. This time, they become tougher, less flexible, and less bioavailable, meaning your body has to work harder to break them down and absorb their nutrients. For younger people with strong digestion, this might not feel like a big deal. But as we age, our digestive enzymes and stomach acid production naturally decline. This means food that once digested smoothly can now cause bloating discomfort or a lingering heaviness that's hard to explain. Ever eaten reheated chicken and felt strangely sluggish or off afterward? That could be your body struggling to process what's been altered through multiple rounds of cooking. And digestion isn't the only concern. Nutritional science shows that repeatedly heating proteins like chicken, especially at high temperatures, can lead to the formation of advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. These are compounds that form when proteins and fats react with sugars under heat. Once AGEs enter your body, they don't just pass through, they accumulate. And what do? Trigger inflammation. Silent, chronic, low-grade inflammation that over time can degrade the body from within. This kind of inflammation isn't dramatic. It doesn't shout with a fever or a rash. It whispers, wearing down your joints, your arteries, and even your brain. Medical researchers now link AGEs and inflammation to an increased risk of heart disease, insulin resistance, and neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and dementia. Picture this. It's Sunday. You roast a tray of chicken breasts, season them beautifully, and portion them into containers for the week. On Tuesday, you microwave one for lunch. The texture seems rubbery, maybe even slightly dry. The flavor isn't quite the same. You eat it anyway because it's still good, right? What you don't see is that with each round of high heat, your chicken is being chemically reshaped, becoming harder for your body to process, and potentially contributing to a cumulative inflammatory load over time. It's subtle but persistent and especially risky for older adults. As we get older, inflammation becomes the enemy. It fuels conditions like arthritis, high blood pressure, fatigue, and that foggy, drained feeling we often dismiss as just aging. But in many cases, these symptoms can be traced back to things we do daily without realizing their impact, like how we heat our food. So what can you do to enjoy chicken safely and smartly? First, if you must reheat chicken, avoid microwaves and high-heat ovens. Instead, use the stovetop or a low-temperature oven. These methods heat more evenly and preserve the integrity of the proteins. Better yet, plan dishes where reheating isn't needed. Leftover chicken works beautifully in cold salads, wraps, or grain bowls. Another approach, cook smaller batches so your meals are always fresh. It may take a bit more time, but the payoff in digestion and overall wellness is worth it. And never reheat chicken more than once. Each round of heat does more damage to its structure and nutritional value. These changes may seem small, but they matter especially as your body becomes more sensitive to stressors with age. Supporting your immune system, digestion, and brain health doesn't always require dramatic lifestyle overhauls. Sometimes it's as simple as rethinking how you handle leftovers. Reheated chicken won't immediately cause disease, but over time the accumulation of inflammatory compounds can tip the scale. And for older adults working hard to preserve memory, mobility, and vitality, reducing unnecessary inflammation is a vital step in aging well. Your body is always talking to you through how you feel, how you digest, how your energy flows. Listen closely, and let something as ordinary as your lunch become a tool for healing, not harm. 5. Mushrooms lose their balance. When reheated mushrooms are more than just a culinary delight, they're a nutritional powerhouse. With their earthy, flavor-satisfying texture and dense nutrient profile, they elevate everything from hearty stir-fries and creamy risottos to omelets and soups. They're rich in B vitamins, fiber, antioxidants, and beta-glucans compounds known to support immune function and even offer anti-cancer properties. But behind the savory appeal lies a lesser-known truth. Mushrooms are highly sensitive to reheating, and mishandling them can turn their benefits into discomfort, or worse. Unlike most vegetables, mushrooms are composed of complex proteins, delicate fats, and enzymes that react strongly to heat. When mushrooms are cooked fresh, these components break down in a controlled, predictable way, unlocking flavor and making their nutrients more accessible. But when you reheat mushrooms, especially more than once, or using high heat methods like microwaving, their chemistry changes drastically. The once beneficial proteins and enzymes can degrade into less digestible forms, potentially leading to bloating, gas, or a lingering sense of heaviness after a meal. If you're over 50 or already dealing with age-related digestive changes like slower gut motility or decreased enzyme production, you're even more likely to feel the effects. But the issue goes deeper than digestion. Mushrooms, when stored improperly, for example, in plastic containers that trap moisture or reheated at high temperatures, can undergo oxidation. This means their proteins and fats begin to break down in a way that generates oxidized compounds. These substances contribute to a phenomenon known as oxidative stress, a key player in aging and chronic disease. Oxidative stress wears down your body's natural defenses and has been directly linked to cellular damage, inflammation, and neurodegenerative conditions like Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and even heart disease. For seniors or individuals with weakened immune systems, this subtle form of stress can show up as chronic fatigue, brain fog, or even increased susceptibility to illness. Let's imagine a typical scenario. You make a beautiful mushroom risotto for dinner loaded with cremini and oyster mushrooms, creamy, fragrant, and comforting. You save the leftovers in the fridge. The next day, for convenience, you toss a bowl into the microwave. You notice something: the mushrooms have lost their firm, juicy quality. They've become rubbery, maybe even slimy, with a slightly off flavor. Sound familiar? What you're sensing isn't just a culinary downgrade. It's a chemical signal, a sign that the structure of those mushrooms has broken down, and the beneficial nutrients have transformed into compounds your body now struggles to process. These changes are subtle. You won't get food poisoning from that risotto. But reheated mushrooms may slowly place strain on your digestion, increase inflammation, and contribute to systemic stress, especially when this becomes a weekly habit. You might even notice vague symptoms like discomfort after meals, a sluggish feeling, or difficulty concentrating, and never suspect that leftover mushrooms might be playing a role. So how can you still enjoy mushrooms safely? Start with smart storage. Always keep leftover cooked mushrooms in a sealed glass container, not plastic, and refrigerate them promptly. This reduces moisture accumulation that accelerates spoilage and oxidation. When reheating, choose gentle methods. Use a low-temperature stovetop or oven instead of a microwave. Avoid reheating them more than once. Better yet, skip reheating altogether. Leftover mushrooms can be delicious served cold, tossed into a salad with olive oil, lemon juice, and fresh herbs. Their meaty texture and umami depth remain intact and flavorful without the risk of structural degradation. Another smart tip: cook only what you plan to eat in one sitting. By minimizing leftovers, you avoid the whole reheating dilemma and preserve the full nutritional benefits of your meal. It may seem like a small decision, but small decisions add up. Especially as we age, the accumulated impact of repeated food stressors like oxidized proteins or improperly stored ingredients can weigh heavily on digestion, immunity, and energy levels. By simply rethinking how you handle mushrooms, you're taking an easy, actionable step toward reducing inflammation, protecting your body's delicate balance, and preserving long-term vitality. As we wrap up this video, take a moment to reflect on everything we've covered. Who would have thought that something as simple as reheating spinach, leftover potatoes, eggs, chicken, or mushrooms could quietly undermine your health? But now you know, and knowledge is power. Maybe the biggest surprise was the cancer-linked compounds in spinach, or the neurotoxins that can form in potatoes, or perhaps the inflammatory agents created in eggs and chicken, or how oxidative stress from mushrooms can affect your brain and digestion. Whatever stood out to you most, we'd love to hear about it. Leave a comment below sharing one thing you've learned today and how you plan to bring that insight into your daily life. Your stories help others in our community take action too. If you found value in this video, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. It helps us grow and it keeps the information flowing. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourself, and remember, it's not just what you eat, but how you handle your food that shapes your health one meal at a time. See you in the next video.